Today we're diving into the fascinating life of Anne of Cleves, the queen who defied expectations and lived to tell the tale. Although her marriage to Henry VIII as his fourth wife was short-lived, Anne of Cleves remains one of the most intriguing of his wives. From her unexpected role as the king's beloved sister to the myths surrounding her appearance and annulment, and stories full of twists and turns. Let's unravel the 10 most frequently asked questions about this fascinating Tudor lady. Number 1. Why did Henry VIII marry Anne of Cleves? Well, Anne of Cleves had been chosen as a suitable bride for Henry VIII because Thomas Cromwell, Henry's chief minister, his right-hand man, saw the benefit in building links with the Schmalkaldic League at a time when Francis I of France and Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, were best buddies and forming alliances. England needed a strong ally, and Anne of Cleves was related to John Frederick of Saxony. He was her brother-in-law, and she was the daughter of the Duke of Cleves. Historian Elizabeth Norton points out that she was, in fact, the most eligible bride that the League had, and John Frederick was willing to consider an alliance with England. Number 2. Did Henry VIII consummate his marriage with Anne of Cleves? No. The marriage was never consummated. Henry reportedly found Anne unattractive and claimed to have no desire for her. After the wedding night, he claimed that Anne could not possibly be a maid due to the looseness of her breasts and other tokens. And he said he found her body in such sort disordered and indisposed to excite and provoke any lust in him. Henry was unable to perform and he blamed it squarely on Anne. Anne apparently also told her ladies in waiting that all they'd done was sort of hold hands and kiss, and she kind of thought that that was all that was needed, apparently, to get pregnant. Number 3. Why was Henry VIII's marriage to Anne of Cleves annulled? On the 9th of July 1540, just 6 months after Henry had married Anne, their marriage was annulled by convocation by reason of a pre-contract between the Lady Anne and the Marquis of Lorraine that it was unwillingly entered into and never consummated. The Marquis of Lorraine mentioned here was Francis of Lorraine. Anne had been betrothed to him in 1527, but it had been subsequently broken off. Leading up to her marriage to Henry VIII, when the pre-contract had been raised, Anne had offered to sign what historian Ruther Warnick describes as a notarial instrument, swearing that she was free to marry. And also the Cleves ambassadors swore that she was free to marry too. Both Henry and Anne agreed to the annulment, and Anne received a generous settlement in return. Number 4. How did Anne of Cleves become known as the king's beloved sister? After the annulment, Henry and Anne remained on friendly terms. Henry awarded her the honorary title of the right dear and right entirely beloved sister, and provided her with estates and leases, making her one of the wealthiest women in England, all because she actually didn't oppose the annulment. She accepted it. Number 5. What did Anne of Cleves look like? Well, Anne was described as tall, with fair skin and a modest conservative style. In his account of Henry and Anne's marriage on the 6th of January 1540, chronicler Edward Hall described her hair as fair, yellow and long, so Anne was obviously blonde. Ambassador Christopher Mont reported back from Cleves that everyone praises the lady's beauty, both of face and body. One said that she excelled the Duchess of Milan as the golden sun did the silver moon, although he was going on hearsay as he'd not seen Anne himself at that point. Her and her sister had been veiled. While Hans Holbein's portrait depicted her as attractive, Henry felt that she didn't meet his expectations when they met in person. However, leading English ambassador Nicholas Wotton saw Holbein's portraits of Anne and her sister and declared that the artist hath expressed their images very lively, i.e. true to life, accurately. and that others also consider the portraits a good likeness of the young women. French ambassador Charles de Marillac reported on what he'd heard about Anne, writing, "According to several who've seen her close, she does not seem so young as expected, nor so beautiful as everyone affirmed. She is tall and has an assurance in her carriage and countenance, giving the impression that vivacity of spirit will supply as much beauty as one could desire." Number 6. How long was Anne of Cleves queen? Anne was queen for just about 6 months, from her wedding day, the 6th of January 1540, the Feast of Epiphany, to the annulment on the 9th of July 1540. Number 7. Did Anne of Cleves ever remarry? No, Anne did not remarry after her annulment from Henry VIII, although convocations said that she was free to marry. She lived independently and comfortably, remaining in England. Number 8. Was Anne of Cleves happy in England after her annulment? Yes, Anne reportedly adapted well to English life. She lived in comfort and enjoyed her independence. She was a frequent visitor at court and maintained a good relationship with Henry VIII and his children. Number 9. Where did Anne of Cleves live after the annulment? Well, according to the terms of the annulment, Anne was granted several properties, including Bletchingley, Richmond, Dartford, and Bisham, and also the lease of Hever Castle in Kent. We know she made use of Bletchingley, Richmond, and Hever, and in her dying days, Mary I allowed her to live at Chelsea Old Manor. And finally, number 10. Where is Anne of Cleves buried? Well, after her death on the 16th of July 1557 at Chelsea Old Manor, Anne of Cleves was buried at Westminster Abbey, the only one of Henry's wives to be buried there. She was laid to rest on the south side of the high altar, and the Westminster Abbey website describes her monument as a low stone structure of 3 sections, with carvings showing her initials AC with a crown, lions' heads, and skulls and crossed bones, symbols of mortality. So, there you have it. The life of Anne of Cleves, told through the questions that have intrigued us all. Those were the most searched for top 10 questions about her. Anne's resilience, her adaptability, and unique position as one of Henry VIII's few wives to enjoy a happy ending make her story truly captivating. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Anne of Cleves' life. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fascinating Tudor tales. Thank you. See you soon. Take care.